Well, hello again, race fans, and welcome to another very special track and another special race for the iRacing NTT IndyCar Series FIXED. It's race 7 of 12 for season 4, 2021. We're going to be doing 80 laps around this high bank short oval made of concrete. 3 very distinct features that usually don't go together, but the FIXED series and its brave competitors coming together here for another round, and we're going to see who's the best out here at Dover. As always, my name is Trevor Greenfield, and I will be joined today, fortunately, unlike last week, he was on vacation, but this week, a little more suntanned and fresh and ready to call the action. It's Gary Godso with me today, and so great to have you with us, Gary.
Hey, it's good to be back. You know, there's a saying that you hear an awful lot that things happen for a reason. And there's a reason why IndyCar does not come back here anymore. There's been 3 races in the past, 1969, 1998, 1999, that IndyCars have raced here, 2 under the IRL banner and 1 under USAC. Of the 648 total laps turned, there were 16 cautions for 186 laps, meaning that more than a quarter of the race, each one of the races were under caution pretty much. That's how it averaged out. So, like as we said, things happen for a reason, and we might start seeing a little bit of that happening here as the IndyCars revisit the Monster Mile, and they are just absolutely smashing the track record right now. The track record is 185.204 set by Tony Stewart, I believe, in 98. And right now, we're looking at the Jose Varela with a 204.269. So put it into, you know, into some terms here. You're doing 200 plus miles per hour around a 1 mile oval. How crazy is that?
Insane. Under 20 seconds apiece. Unfortunately, once again, just on its own accord, we're not getting the software coverage, but Jorge Varela taking pole position thus far over Thomas Christensen with a and there Adriano Pinero, exactly
204.288 as his time on the for the speed on the time there.
And so that time actually exactly the same down to the 100th of a second, not down to the 1000th, as Jorge Varela, who is in 2nd place, and 3rd place Thomas Christensen, Gabriel Amer in 4th, Andreas Eich in 5th, and Tim Tomes in 6th for Team Scours. Nacho LDR 7th, Pedro Gomez in 8th, Tommy G, Thomas Geisler in 9th place, and Matthew Turner there in 10th. And our software has decided to come back on screen, so now you can see that for yourself. Still working with the makers of the software. I think it's pretty much developed by just one person, so they work through the bugs as fast as they can, but it's fun, it's cutting edge, and this is live broadcasting. Who else is even out there on the track? Everybody just kind of like jumped out there and was practically done in the first 35 seconds. Maybe the reason is, Gary, let's look at the temperature. We got 89 degrees Fahrenheit on the track. It's really not that bad, not too hot, but all of these drivers just electing to get it done, get it out of the way, get out there and get some laps. So currently, everybody having put in their 2 laps, except for Jim Wallen, Luis Geronimo, and Perry Hicks, not
showing
getting in laps.
AJ Musselman not putting any laps now, but I'm showing Hicks right now rolling out onto the track with just 30 seconds left. That's enough to get in, believe it or not, at least 1 lap. So we'll see how he does. He's on the backstretch right now. But we're probably looking at a bit of a pack race until halfway through these runs, until these tires start giving out. But you're going to see a lot of these cars going right down to that white line and right down to the apron and holding their lines the entire way through. The upper line probably won't come in until halfway through the stint. We're probably looking for the pit window to open up right around lap 15 or so to go to the distance. Remember, 3 sets of tires, 2 in the pits, 1 on the. They start with 1 on the car, and then they have 2 extra sets in the pits. So that might play a role later in the race, depending on how many cars are in the lead lap. But we're done qualifying, and let's get that starting lineup.
Let's check it out. Unfortunately for Perry, he only got in 0.94 of a lap, so that's the danger of going out so late.
Yep.
There it is on your screen, your starting order for the day. No surprise to see Brazilian Adriano Pinheiro right up there on pole position for Corinthians Bread King. Second place, Jorge Varela for Bass Devils Racing, and third for Thomas Christensen at Three Crowns Racing with IAR. So that's three different teams represented in that top three. Fourth, Gabriel Amer. Fifth, Andreas Eich. Sixth, Tim Tomes. Nacho LDR, Pedro Gomez, and Thomas Geisler, as well as Matthew Turner for Three Crowns Racing, making your top 10. And there you can see everyone else. A couple of favorites going to be starting from much further back. You got Jesper Orman there in 12th for Three Crowns Racing. We're so used to seeing him start much further forward. Also, Inigo Mardones for Decky Racing Team starting in 18th position. Also, you can look at even Aaron McQuarrie, who's been running well here in previous races, but today not quite able to get that top 10 starting position. I mean, this is going to be a race of track position. We were talking about it ahead of time, Gary. You kind of want to get your car out in front and just stay there. It's so hard to make a pass here without possibly endangering yourself or other drivers.
Yeah, qualifying is very critical.
So the car's sitting on the grid, and we are just about ready to roll here for 80 laps. Monday night, there were 4 cautions in the high strength of field race. That strength of field was a little bit higher today. It's 3,300, I believe. I saw on the number beforehand, unofficially. But still going to be paying out lots of points for these competitors. Will it be a caution fest? Will we have the big one? Or will it be a nice clean race and we'll see lots of close action and passing? I know which one I'm looking forward to, but either way should be exciting for everybody in the stands. Look at this sold-out crowd here, Gary.
Yeah, there's a lot of risk for these guys to put on the line for this race. I believe the Fixed Series does allow for a certain number of dropped races, so we'll probably see this one be one of them, and probably Daytona be the other one that some people skip. We saw a lot of people skip Chicagoland as well, but there's a lot of risk, and depending on where you want to put your chips down, considering this is a casino track, how you want to lay your bets, see how well you do.
Well, the track's changed a little bit since its inception back in 1967, I believe it was, and 69, the first IndyCar race here. But then there were just 2 more since then. So we're glad to bring the IndyCars back here as part of the Fixed Series, and we're underway. Adriano Pinheiro starts it off with a nice size gap over his competition behind. It's Thomas Christensen with Jorge Varela side by side as we come through the turn 2, and now they're side by side. Andreas Eich and Varela back to settling down. We're going to be seeing a lot of this jockeying for position early on.
Yeah, it's a race to get to the bottom right now. If you're stuck on the outside and you can't get down, you're going to have a steady freight train passing you one after another until you can find that opening.
Well, they're all trying to find some sort of an opening, but nobody really doing too much with it thus far. Andreas Eich able to get forward. Varela now showing in Thomas Christensen's rear view, making a move down to the inside. It's Jorge Varela still staying a little bit clear. We look a little bit further back. It's Thomas Geisler. He's up a position in 8th place. Pedro Gomez has dropped down one, but back up front, there it is. Varela managing to get to the bottom side on Christensen. Now it's really stacking up.
Yeah, they're getting really aggressive here, and it's very early to be doing that. I don't know if I'm back at about P8, P9, P10. I'm going to start laying off and expecting the big one to happen anytime now. Very, very aggressive racing going on right now.
And we're seeing somebody drop down. We've had a big incident.
To the wall.
Big incident.
Nacho LDR and Tim Tomes.
Tim Tomes and LDR still tangled and still rolling down the racetrack.
Still green.
Still green. This self-cleaning racetrack lives up to its name. And there was someone stopped on the racetrack, and that brings out our first caution just 7 laps into this one. That was a little ways coming. Took a few laps for it to happen. Well, let's go back and take a look if we can find where this incident happened. We'll look, as it looks like this may be a little too late. In fact, it is, so we'll have to back it up on the screen. Let's see if we can tell exactly how these two came together. It's Tim Tomes and Nacho LDR. So here's from on board with Tim. We'll just go through, let's go in full speed here and see exactly what happened. And it doesn't look like he had much that he could do at all. There was a tap that came from elsewhere, possibly to his right-hand side. Let's take a look a little bit further back, and we'll go to outside the car.
Yeah, there's it looks like the contact was initiated by Nacho on the outside and put both him and Tim into the wall. They're discussing it right now over the radio right now, but from at least from my perspective, and maybe the folks at home could tell me if maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like that maybe Nacho was the initiate here, not quite giving Tim the room he needed in order to make that turn into turn 3 there, coming down the backstretch. But that unfortunately took out two cars, two very fast cars. And unfortunately, I don't know why Nacho spent so much time on the racetrack after the caution. We've seen this happen again at what was it, Chicagoland, where we had someone just didn't reset. And I'm not sure why they just don't reset, because the cars were still at speed, and the laps here happened way too quickly in order for your car to be on the track and injured like that.
I concur with you, but then again, that's that's not my field to make the call as to how you should do that. That's obviously iRacing's call as far as their rule book and whether NIM decides that that's worth a penalty and a protest penalty. But I agree with you. It's one of those things, and unfortunately it caught up a couple of other drivers as well, and you know, brings out the caution. And again, a lot of the drivers at the front probably wouldn't have wanted to see that caution, so it kind of takes the idea of collusion out of it. But it is one of those things. You have to question, why stay on the racetrack? There is a thing too, if your car is too broken that it really won't steer, you could just come to a full stop and then, you know, be towed back to the pits, and instead of having to try to drive it back. But again, we'll let them decide. We'll let you, the viewers, decide. Super appreciate everybody stopping by. I see Diego P. and Jason Lowe stopping by. Guillermo Pecorul stopping by to let us know they're rooting on Mass Devils. Jason Lowe letting us know it's hard to pass here. You bet. Gary was just talking about that. Super difficult. You got to keep working on that pass. We see some drivers faking coming in to the pits. Pinero, Varela, Ike, Amir, all these drivers is a little too early, so they're staying out. But Diego P is letting us know he's Dylan, rooting on Dylan. So back to the live coverage. Also would like to give a big shout out. We just this morning got notified several more donators to the VirtualRacing.Network contribution fund to help see us grow and continue to be able to do IndyCar coverage with the likes of Gary and Julian Altena. So we really appreciate that. We'll be able to announce a little bit more and talk about that a little bit more and thank our contributors more as we go along. But we're about to come back to green here because that's how fast these cautions are.
Even the caution laps are quick here.
It is ridiculous. It's so fast.
It looks like P18 on back have stopped. So Shimizu, Mardones, Musselman, Wallen, Orman, Hicks, Murray all stopped, or at least back to 22nd on Orman on lap 8, Hicks on lap 9, Murray on lap 10. And they went ahead and put on their extra tires. So from 18th on back, they're at least on their second set, and they're coming to go green.
Perfect timing. And so now we've got a split strategy that we'll get a chance to watch for. Pinero gets a little bit of a jump on Varela. We're back underway here to start lap 11 at Dover. So Varela hanging on tight. Andreas Ike up 2 positions already into third. Gabriel Lemaire into fourth. And, you know, we're getting some notifications that some people are subscribing as well. So let's just make sure that we can get those on the screen when they're coming up. We do appreciate everybody subscribing and watching along in ultra high definition 4K. As we see, Thomas Christensen has dropped back a couple of positions from where he was at the start. Now we look back at the front, and it is a tight battle for first, second, third, and fourth.
So as you see the line that Pinheiro is taking, he's taking a mid-line, low line down the front straight. It's allowing Varela to actually get a look and a taste on the inside, but just not having the speed in order to get his nose there into the inside. Once he gets his nose to the inside, though, it's all over. Pinheiro's gonna have to give that position up, otherwise they're gonna wreck each other. In the meantime, third place, Ike is just gonna look. He's gonna follow whoever's gonna make the pass. That's ultimately what's gonna happen here. What might also happen is Ike might just stay low, and then when Varela gets tired of going to the low side and trying up high, which he is right now, Ike might just fill in the spot that Varela formerly was in. So it's a game of chess up at the front right now.
A very high speed, high stakes game of chess as far as these competitors are concerned. But we still have a good load of laps to go, about 64 laps to go. We've got, is that Tim Tomes out there on the outside in the Scouter's car?
Running a little wounded right now, but he's out there for some very valuable points, but he's staying out of the way. Ooh! I say that, and he's just run into the wall, and it looks like we might have another caution.
And we've got more cars in the wall. That was Dario Verona Caracedo in the wall just right there, and another car in front. I believe that's Timothy Watson. Watson, who had qualified in 14th, and Soredo, who was only in 20th, but they came together.
Oh, there's a car right at the inside. Oh, man.
Even more collateral damage as we watch to see where this one is going to shake out. We thought there might be chaos today. Some of the drivers electing not to race, but there's been a little bit of a fallout, a bit of chaos, and we do expect, I would think, most of the front runners to actually come down and pit on this caution, you would think. So we're now coming up on 20 laps into this one.
So yeah, we're looking at a lot of unhappy folks right now, but I believe this all initiated when they were all trying to pass Tomes. He was well out of the way, and he had contact with, I'm not sure who that yellow car is, but that yellow car came up right into him and put him into the wall, and that really started the whole chain reaction here. I thought Tomes was out of the way, and I thought that he was doing a good job at staying out of the way, and it was just another car that came up in contact with him. So if we have to initiate blame right now, I'm one car that was underneath him was trying to do, because I believe Tomes was giving him plenty of room.
Indeed, we're looking at the replay here, and we can see that it does look like Watson came up the track and into Tomes. Watson with about half of the I rating of Tomes, and again, sometimes experience handling these cars at such high speeds and difficult passing situations, you might encounter somebody who's really far off of the pace that you're at that moment, such as Tomes in that position. But take a look at who is in first. Well, it's Dave Stedman.
It's the silent assassin, Dave Stedman. Hey, he won one of the closest races I have ever seen here in IndyCars. It was in the Race First IndyCar Challenge Series, and there were almost four cars side by side coming down the front stretch to the checkered flag, and he won by the slimmest of all margins. It's probably the closest 1, 2, 3, 4 finish I have ever seen on the iRacing surface. So he is very capable here. He realizes that the pit window just opened, so there's going to be a long ways to go. There's probably looking at more yellow laps. Track position is key, and so his call to stay out might not be a bad one at this point.
I completely concur. However, we'll have to see how it shakes out, because everybody else aside from Dave has stopped, as you can see in the graphic there on your screen. Musselman and Orman coming in on the previous caution and getting their stops done and out of the way, at least their initial stop. getting those fresh tires. And so if you want to talk about strategy, perhaps coming in on that first caution was the way to go in terms of the way that things have worked out so far, because AJ Musselman, Jesper Orman, Adriano Pinero, Jorge Varela, right now, all of these drivers sitting there having made their stops, but Musselman and Orman stopped on lap 7. So
yeah, well, and Musselman and Orman are close enough that we have enough cautions. They might not need to stop again. It's iffy. It's for every I think it's for every 2 laps or every 1 lap under caution. It's like 2 laps worth of saved fuel, give or take, somewhere in that neighborhood. They might be able, if they press their luck and they play things smartly, they might not need to stop again. So we'll see. Under any normal circumstances, stopping less than 15 laps, if it was going for a long green flag run, they would not have enough to go to the finish. They would have to stop again. But depending on how much carnage we see today, they might be done for the day in the pit. So we'll see. Looks like Nacho LDR and who, I'm not sure who the other car was, Moskowitz maybe, got the wave around. So right now the field is controlled, the pace car, and it will be handed off to Dave here for the restart. And we'll be back under green flag racing here very, very shortly.
Well, and that's interesting because despite this chaos, we do only have 2 cars currently, the 3 cars sitting out of the race. So still 21 cars still in this one, 22 cars, including Nacho LDR, still in this one. So looking forward to seeing how many are left at the end. But right now it's Dave Stedman. He's not pulling in for a last second pit stop. He's going for it. No pits so far, but it's Stedman who leads us back to green on lap 22. Sorry, lap 23.
He wastes no time getting on the accelerator there, and puts a little bit of a gap between him and AJ. Right behind them are guys with fresher tires. Well, Orman's also on the same strategy, but P4 on back, they're on the fresher tires, and they're going to be looking for ways to get around.
And they already are. Look at that Adriano Pinero white and black Red King machine coming forward. And you can see
AJ out on the high side. He's getting freight trained right now.
Absolutely. And we're 3 wide in the corner. Unfortunately, Netcode catching AJ Musselman and putting him in the wall. And now that brings out our 3rd caution. I can see the netcode from here in the wide camera. So there was a bunch of it. That's a little sad to see. And, well, he didn't really expect to get freight trained like that, but he also was holding his own on the outside. Poor AJ Musselman getting punted into the wall. We'll take a look at that, though.
Yeah, I got to question the aggression of 26 laps into a 80-lap race of going 3 wide on a I know it's a restart and everything, and you only have so many opportunities to pass. But I really question anytime anyone goes 3 wide this early into the race, when a lot of stuff can still happen that are a lot less risky than going 3 wide in a track that's not necessarily narrow, but very, very fast.
Indeed. I mean, going 3 wide at all until maybe the last couple of laps when everyone else is going to go 3 wide. That may be the best way to go. And it wasn't 3 wide until we have a mass doubles racing driver going to the inside, making it 3 wide. That actually turned Pinero and put Pinero into AJ Musselman. And I hate to say it because I really like AJ. He's a good guy. He's part of the series and he's part of the community, and he helps out a lot. Just a great person to be in the community. But he has the worst luck on our broadcast. It seems like every single time he gets taken out in the process, and I feel bad for the guy. But just keep at it, AJ. I promise we're not putting any curse. We're doing the opposite. We're wishing you good luck out there. Unfortunately, that amounts to a hill of beans in the racing world. And you're surprised at the aggression, Gary, but this is the Indy Fixed series after all. It does get a little, let's say, cutthroat at times. Not for the faint of heart.
Right, but look who's patient. I mean, Dave Stedman, he just patiently waits for things to happen in front of him, and now he's your leader. And that's not really by virtue of passing a ton of cars on the racetrack. That's just, hey, I'm going to follow a different strategy that's less risky than everyone else. And look where he is. Same thing with Jesper. He's doing very much the same type of strategy. I believe that if you do less risk and you put yourself at less, remember to finish first you must finish, right? That's how the old saying
Absolutely.
goes. So
Absolutely.
why put yourself in a position where you're not going to finish, because then it removes any chance of you doing anything in this race other than getting a DNF. So looking at the strategies right now of Dave and Jesper, they are doing the least risky strategies, and right now it's paying off for them. And the more caution flags and more caution laps that we do is just going to play more into their hands, because it's just going to be into their advantage when it comes to fuel mileage and making that early stop and track position ruling.
Well, let's talk about that 1998 IRL race here. The eventual winner of that race was Scott Sharp, but he did not qualify on the pole. It was Tony Stewart. And I tell you what, if you read the race report, there had to have been about 6 or 7 cautions at that race. So many people crashing out, including Sam Schmidt, Tony Stewart, multiple crashes. Scott Sharp started in 4th place and ended up winning that race. And we may see the same thing again today. Just somebody who's patient but fast, somebody who has the right strategy and is thinking with their brain and not seeing the red mist or the fog, and that might get them through to the very end. And I know we couldn't have predicted this ahead of time, seeing Dave Steadman in the lead here, 2,661 oval I rating. So I mean, he's one of the lower I rated drivers in the field, and directly behind him, somebody who has double the amount of I rating, Jesper Orman, and even behind him, Jorge Varela, 6,100. So for Steadman to lock himself into a great alternative strategy, it just shows somebody who's patient, is thinking with their brain. They might be able to pull off some miraculous stuff here in the Fixed Series.
Well, I know Dave from League Racing, and I really wish League Racing would be reflected in some of your I rating points. Maybe make it half or something, or not cost not be as worth as much as like an official race, but give you still some. So he raced really well in the league race. He won a league race here. That's not indicative of his rating. We only look at the ratings when he gets in the official races, and sometimes it's one side of a coin. If we look at both sides of coins from Dave, I think he could more than hold his own against Jesper and Jorge and Andreas right up to the front that we see that are up front every single week here.
It's indeed. It's a tough thing for them to do, but it shows you at least who's spending their time doing these official races and getting that experience with all of these same drivers and under these same rules. There you go. Back underway at Steadman with the light fuel load. Hasn't stopped yet. Got the same tires on he started with. He's flying down into 3, and we can see just behind, they're starting to stack up again. Here comes Jorge Varela for Mass Devils Racing, making a move on second place. Jesper Orman very close. Andreas Eich now taken to the outside.
So hitting that very familiar, what I call the IRL line, which is going right to the bottom on the front straights and the back straights.
Good old days of the IRL. I did a couple of races like that with high downforce at like Las Vegas, where the whole thing was just like Chicagoland. Stay on the white line at the bottom. There's so much downforce. Oh, got a car almost in the wall. I saw Musselman down also on the apron, just narrowly avoiding some other cars. Tommy G up into 6th place, gaining 3 spots. There he is on your screen. And racing side by side just behind Macquarie. That's Jorge Naranjo Granado. And now we're seeing a couple of drivers starting to fall back as well. So side by side for Geisler, and we're also seeing Christensen right back there in the mix. He's dropped back 4 spots from where he started, but he's hanging on and currently in 7th. Wow, this
is really wicked. 3 wide coming off of 2. I saw there for a minute. That caught my breath a little bit. But yeah, Dave Steadman up 21 spots. Jesper up 10. We have Seb Alexander up 10. I love this name, Geronimo, man. Louis Geronimo, he's up 9. They're all on it there. They're all trying to make up as much time as they can.
It's pretty fabulous what Steadman's been able to do, sitting at the front of this field and able to control it. Thus far, Jesper not able to get a good enough look on him. He's holding right behind Steadman. It's almost as though they're working together. I know they're not.
Well, they would probably want to, it would best serve them to do that right now, because they're the only two cars on the track with that same strategy, or basically the same strategy. Dave would be the closest to Orman. Everyone that came in with Orman got caught up in that wreck. So Orman's kind of on his own on that strategy. So it might be worth Orman's time to actually work with Stedman.
You're absolutely correct. And when these drivers, as they're side by side behind Christensen, Gomez and Granado back there racing side by side for 8th place. But you get to know these drivers you're racing against. You see them race in and race out week in and week out. You know how they race, and when they know you, and you've talked a couple of times, you get into sync with them. And sometimes they understand it's better for you to work together, even if you don't say anything, even if you're not communicating over voice. Just everybody kind of gets it because they've done enough races together. It's worth working together and seeing where we're all at 5 or 10 to go at the end of this. But at the meantime, it is Dave Stedman who continues to keep his foot on the gas and lead us as we get through, just coming up to halfway here at Dover.
Yeah, now Dave is wanting a caution here relatively soon. He's now 39 laps into his current stint, now starting 40 laps of the current stint, not including the caution laps. He doesn't have much more than 15 laps or so left probably on this tank. And one of the things that I do not like about this service and this track is it's considered a NASCAR track. So what they do is they slap on IndyCar the NASCAR pit road speed limit, which is 35 miles per hour here. And he will lose, even before getting to his pit stall, probably 2 laps, and probably lose another lap before he even gets back out on the racetrack, just due to that speed limit. And his day will be done if there's no caution.
This is absolutely true. It's going to be so crucial. And I can see that we're 3 wide, 2 wide. Everybody trying to work around that lap car of Tim Tomes. Very, very tricky stuff. 3 wide there. As you can see, Inigo Mardona is getting through just barely on Tim Tomes. Aaron McQuarrie on the inside. Boy, if I were Tim Tomes, I'd be afraid of even being in this race, getting treated like a ping pong ball out there. But getting bounced all over. Nevertheless, back at the front, it is still super tight, but these drivers all getting it in hand and continuing and not making any mistakes. And fortunately, it's Dave Stedman who continues 44 laps into this one.
Starting to break away, actually, a little bit.
It's amazing developments here as we've had multiple cautions, but Stedman, Orman, Varela, and Ike.
Oh, and they're coming up to like 3 or 4 cars that are slower right in front of them that they're going to have to negotiate here relatively soon. Oh, hearing someone in the wall. Caution. I think it might be Kubels. Yes, Kubels.
And it is, in fact, Kubels in the wall there. We'll see if we can get back to where this began, unfortunately, for Kubels.
Okay, so I see it. He's been a little net code, but he's been living life on the edge, on the high side a number of times. I was wondering who that car was, that blue and white car, because they were making a number of exits off of turn 2, getting really close to that retaining wall, and having to kind of cut down to get away from the wall. And I was wondering who that was, and he was kind of I think he was trying to make that outside groove work, and it wasn't working for him.
Let's see. I struggled to find it. So Kubels there is in the outside. There we go.
And here comes Dave into the pit. So he needed this caution. Now the question is, has Jesper saved enough, and will he be able to save enough? And be able to hold off Varela, Ike, and Ammer behind him and go the distance on this race. We're lap 50. We're probably going to go green here in about 2 or 3 laps. We'll be doing less than 30 to go. And those 30 laps click off rather quickly around here.
Well, Stedman's going to come back out, looks like probably 19th or 20th, so pretty close to the very back of this field, maybe 18th. Not so great for him in terms of the way that that works out. But if anybody else is going to be short on fuel at the end of this one, I mean, it really comes down to how much fuel mileage they can actually make out there. But if they're going to be out of fuel, Dave Steadman is in the exact right place. He's on the lead lap, and currently he's made his final stop officially, whereas some of these other drivers probably going to be light. Jesper is going
to be close. I believe Varela on back is actually pretty good. I think they're good to go to the finish.
Okay.
We'll see. And we're hearing a number of cars out there burning off fuel. So there's some guys out there that have now too much, and they're trying to lighten up.
Might be fun if in the Fixed Series they shorten the tank. That could be interesting.
Yeah, I don't mind. I haven't raced very many IndyCar series that shorten the tank, but I've been in like other like NASCAR truck series that have shortened the tank a little bit, and those races tend to be a little fun. You got to have the right amount for the track. You know, you can't be in that truck series I was in. It was like every 8 laps you had to pit at Daytona. That was a little too much. But you know, maybe make it 10 less laps than normal, or 15 less laps than normal, and throw some more strategy into it. It's kind of fun. And that might be something to consider going forward here in the Fixed Series. I also think maybe even going as far as maybe making the races a little bit longer too. We talked about that, to make them a little less of a sprint, a little bit more of a mini marathon.
It is one of those things that I've seen help in some different series. I've been Indy Elite. They run 14.8, and US IndyCar League runs a shorter tank. I think at 13.8 now. They shortened it for this last season. It just makes everybody have to pit a little bit more, and in less laps, smaller track. It might be helpful, whereas in this series, it looks like you could come in on a caution in lap 20 and have your one pit stop done, and that's not exactly what I think is being intended in this series. But nevertheless, everybody has to deal with the same thing, same conditions, no matter what the race is, Gary. They tell you you can make it on one stop and it comes on lap 20. Well, that's your race call for the day. That's your race strategy. In the meantime, over in the chat room, Guillermo Pacarul letting us know, indeed, it's everybody's week, or everybody this week is equal, and that is true. With the Fixed Series, everybody is absolutely equal, and it's just that's a great thing. Race First saying that Gary triggered the incident. Interesting. Thanks for stopping by. I assume that's Matt, but thanks for stopping by. Talking to us.
That's a Chops is Dakota. Dakota's asking which better, Dover or Disney World. Right now, Dover, because it's on the service and it still is in existence.
Yes, indeed. We were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, about the old Disney Speedway that was there.
It was kind of depressing the last couple times I've been there. That when you're leaving the transportation center there, that you can turn and look and see the speedway there, and it's not there anymore. It's kind of depressing, but we're green flag now.
We are green, and it's Jesper Orman of Three Crowns Racing with IAR in the front. He may be able to make it to the end on his early pit stop strategy, but either way, he's got lighter fuel than just about everybody else. Jorge Varela in second and Andreas Eick in third. Eick up 2 spots today.
And
Varela.
We're wrecking in the back, I hear. We're wrecking in the back. Maybe some... Geisler looks like he's missing the nose.
We'll see if we can find him. There he is, somewhere in the back. He is. He's knocked his nose cone right off of that car. They're going to be black flagging him before too long, showing him the meatball there. He can't even make the corner, comes up, almost drifts into the wall. In the meantime, at the front, it's Varela all over the back of Orman. It's Varela and Eick, and now Gabriel Mayer joining that conversation.
They tried to get his nose in there. Jasper got a little bit high there, and Varela tried to stick the nose in there.
Side by side behind for Amir and Christensen. And just behind, it's Seb Alexander. So these drivers all dicing it out, and it looks like Amir's going to try to work the underside on, I believe that's Gomez. So he's now trying to work on the underside on Gomez there.
Oh, we got a car in the wall.
And Shimizu, no, just
That's
behind
Mardones.
it is Inigo Mardones, the NTT Racing team driver, who was having a decent day running up towards the top 10. And unfortunately, as you can see there, has had to go to the pit. So we're under our 5th caution. See, I told you we do everything better here on Championship Thursday. More cautions than you had on Monday night. Oh boy, these competitors getting wound up. Well, this will actually really work out for one competitor in particular. It's Jesper Orman, who was gonna be potentially risky on that fuel strategy. He will most likely be able to make it here for the end of this. I don't hear him trying to burn off any fuel, but...
No, but he doesn't want to do that right now, that's for sure. I think he wants every drop of it. But it looks like it was might have been a little contact, maybe a little net code involved between Mardones and Seb Alexander there. And the Alexander is in the that is a Grand Theft Auto 5 company on the side of it. It's a beer company. It's called Pisswater.
Oh, right. Well,
so that's from Grand Theft Auto 5. So he has an interesting sense of humor. But yeah, this is totally playing into the hands of Jesper right now. I imagine he's clutching it quite a bit right now to try not to burn off as much fuel as possible.
Wow. Well, you see there on your screen, Dylan Moskowitz having an incident and bits and pieces getting thrown all over the track. Now, that happened just in front of Jeff Murray, but I don't think that was the reason for the incident with Mardones.
I think that might have happened after the caution. I think that might have happened after the caution.
It may have been. See, we'll come into that incident a little too late with Mardones. Okay, let's see if we can play this one back from the chopper and see. And there Mardones comes in. He moves to the top side, but I don't think he was able to clear the driver that he was trying to pass there, and a little bit of net code, plus being a little too close to that car in front, unfortunately, kicking the NTT Racing team driver into the wall, and his day in the top 10 is over. But we do have 22 laps to go, and if you thought it was exciting thus far with drivers all over the place, 2 wide, 3 wide, well, Gary, we've got a 20-lap shootout, and I think everybody can make it to the end. So, what do you think we're going to see in this last 20 laps?
Every single lap is helping Jesper here. More caution only helps his mileage. More caution only protects his position. All he needs to do, and I say this, all he needs to do, like it's easy, is to keep that low line and keep those the hungry guys from Mass Devils and Team Talent and all these other highly touted iRacing esport teams, motorsport teams behind him. It's sometimes easier said than done, but we've talked about that these tires will give out after a while, and he will not be able to hold that low line entirely the whole time. If he does, what he might end up doing is running the risk of scrubbing off speed and allowing that top line to become in play for Varela behind him. So we'll see if Varela, with slightly fresher tires, will be able to pull that feat off. But right now, track position is still everything. And in order to be the man, you got to beat the man, and that means you got to pass the man in front of you. So catching Jesper is one thing, but passing him is an entirely different thing here at this racetrack.
Catching and passing, two entirely different things, and you really do have to think and strategize with how you're going to do it, as we've seen several failed attempts thus far. But we'll see. Will it be Jorge Varela? Will it be Jesper Orman? Will it be Andreas Eich? Or will it be another hero coming from even further back? We will see. It's anybody's race at the end here. And the Fixed Series has been known for exciting finishes, and we look forward to seeing yet another one. Thanks again to everybody stopping by in the YouTube chat room, watching live in 4K 60 frames per second. As we're under our 5th caution, just coming to an end on the caution period, and it is Jesper Orman in the lead, followed by Jorge Varela and Andreas Ike in third. We're set for 20 laps to go here. 19 laps once we hit that start-finish stripe. And it is literally anybody's race at this point, although I do see that Luis Geronimo has crashed. But back to green flag, and it's Jesper Orman, your leader. Will it be him in 19 more laps? We'll find out. Jorge Varela, Andreas Ike, and Pedro Gomez get a huge jump pretty much on the rest of the field. Can't even see the other cars practically back there from here. So that's Gabriel Amer and Thomas Christensen, Seb Alexander back there just a little ways back. But back up at the front, it is Orman still holding on, Varela in second. It looks like Ike and Gomez, they're racing for third.
And the field's starting to get a little spread out now, too.
Kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Maybe some guys burning off their tires a little bit.
Here comes a look on the outside. Varela got a little bit of the draft. The thing is, the straights here are not long enough to really get full utilization of the draft. By the time they get the draft and pull out, they're about ready to enter the next turn, so you can't really use the draft to slingshot you out. But he's trying to get a little bit of it now. He's full alongside, and he is trying to go to use that high side and run down Orman with those lot older tires. Orman's been on those tires now for 58 laps.
That is something else, so I sure hope you like the feel of those tires, because they're not going to get much better over the stint. It's really stacking up, though, behind Jesper. It's 4 cars just covering about 1/10 of a second, 2/10 of a second. Here they come forward. It's Ike on the outside of Varela. Still can't quite get that pass done on the outside. It's Varela and Orman hang to the inside. You've got Pedro Gomez for SUB Racing, Sub Racing just behind.
See, these tires are giving out. He can't quite hold that low line. At least that this time he did pretty good, but last time he was bringing 4, he couldn't quite hold the low line and gave Varela just a little bit of a hint of hope there. Varela went for it. There you see he kind of moved up, now he moved back down. Now they got lap traffic they have to contend with. Ooh, that's real good. Moskowitz got out of the way. Great job by him.
That was very close. Got to stay real heads up here, Gary. You could run across the lap.
Going on the backstretch. Oh, okay. Woo. I think that might have been AJ, or I'm not sure who that was, but a little bit of a confusion.
And for 3,
went up to turn 4 back there for about P5, 6, and 7, 3, 4, and 5, somewhere in there.
It's a lot of action all over the track as everybody coming forward with 10 to go. Who will it be? It's Orman, Varela, Ike, Amer, Gomez. Gomez now getting by Amer on the outside. There's Thomas Christensen and Seb Alexander just behind side by side. This is still the tightest race as they are side by side for that 5th position, and it continues to trade. Exciting stuff. We're going to look back at the front, though, as this one is still not decided. Tim Tomes on the outside. Everyone look out. Jesper Orman and Varela. Ike, 1, 2, 3, but it hasn't been decided yet. There's Varela trying the outside. Ike staying close behind in third in that orange and silver car for Team Talent.
Oh, and he got a good run on the outside, and now Varela has to contend with him because now they're side by side, and that is only helping Jesper. Look at Jesper. He's actually using the draft, kind of doing what they do at the Cup cars do at Talladega and Daytona. He's lending the draft to the top side to bring Ike into the battle, and then he dumps down to the bottom to give the draft down to Varela to bring him even with Ike and have them fighting with each other. That's some brilliant use of the draft right here. But people might also be saying that Orman's blocking. He's blocking. He's not blocking. You're allowed one move, and then after that, if you make another move in response to the car behind you, that is blocking. Jesper is not blocking at all. He is holding his line.
Absolutely holding his line. Blocking on an oval is something a little different than on a road course, but definitely you're entitled to come down and kind of weave a little bit. Just make one move. As side by side for Ike and Varela again. This is 5 cars so close together, but it looks
these cars off the pace are are scrambling trying to find places to go right now. They should probably, with 5 to go, get off the track, but they're out there for points as well. Now we got the interesting situation where you got a Mass Devil car slow coming up to the leaders with the Mass Devil car in P2. Do we see team orders take an impact here?
That is a possibility.
And that's a race right there. The race is over.
Race is over. Orman in the lead. He'll take the victory. And Jorge Varela ended up in second, Andreas Eich in third, Gabriel Amer fourth, and Pedro Gomez fifth. Unfortunately, one of those cars to suffer there at the end. Three Crowns Racing with IAR, and good friend here at VirtualRacing.Network, Thomas Christensen, getting the worst end of that. Truly a turn of events here at the end, and it looks like also Matthew Turner, who was running so well for Three Crowns Racing, also suffering that one. That is just unfortunate for those drivers. We're going to take a look back here at what happened.
That was pretty brutal back there. It looks like, we had a car kind of get close to the wall, and they jerked the wheel down and ended up taking out a couple cars next to them and starting a whole chain reaction. I think it started with Jose Granado, right around in that area, but I'm not quite sure who is exactly to blame.
Well, taking a closer look at it, it appears as though, yes, indeed, a car is slow. It's one of the Mass Devils racing cars that is slow in front. And then it looks like Macquarie tries to come down the track, and it leaves Christensen with nowhere really to go. And just straight into the back of the Mass Devils racing driver. And then that has, as you can see on your screen, collecting Matthew Turner later and collecting a couple of other drivers. So really unfortunate as they just continue to plow into each other and leave damaged race car bits all over this racetrack.
And that's another reason why IndyCar chose not to come back, because it became really expensive for the team owners.
Exactly.
The next morning, the two companies predominantly that really enjoyed the races at Dover back when the IRL ran here was G-Force and Dallara, because the next morning they have nothing but a bunch of orders for parts that need to be replaced on a lot of damaged cars, because they had to go to a race like 4 or 5 days later. But Jesper, I'm not going to say there's a ton of skill involved here, but his strategy is what got him up there. His skill is what kept him there, and just using his head and using his smarts and knowing how the racing is done at this track, where you're going to end up probably getting lots of yellows. That's what did it for him. He played his cards right here, and it's at a track that has a casino, and when you win big at the casinos, you come out as the big cash king, and he's cash king tonight.
Well, a lot of drivers put their money on red, and today Jesper put all his chips on black, and it came up in his favor. He's going to cash out with a big win here on Championship Thursday on VirtualRacing.Network. And we just wait for this one to finish up before we can call it official. Unfortunate for a number of drivers that they got caught in that, and I've seen a lot of great drivers that ended up out of this race a lap or more down. Matthew Turner and Nacho LDR, Tim Tomes, AJ Musselman, Adriano Pinero getting caught in an incident. Just a lot of great talent, unfortunately, getting caught out. Also want to give a big shout out to Jeff Murray for showing up and being in this race. Used to covering him much more over in the US IndyCar League. He hasn't been in that series for this season, but cool to see that bright green car flying around and representing the league. But today it belonged to Jesper Orman from Three Crowns Racing with IAR. He was one of the few survivors at the end from his team. The next closest was Thomas Christensen, all the way back there in 14th, getting into that incident there at the end. So kind of a bittersweet day for Three Crowns Racing with IAR, but at the same time, able to take the win here, and I think that's the most meaningful thing, as we see Jesper celebrating with donuts on track. This is definitely a proud moment. Those of you that have been following our broadcast here, VirtualRacing.Network, we do get a chance to talk with Jesper quite often. he and the Three Crowns Racing team, really a central reason why this broadcast is even happening. So definitely a big shout out and thanks to Three Crowns Racing and Vilda Wallen over there and just everybody involved with the team, being a huge part of this series and bringing Mass Devils Racing, Necky Racing team together. And eventually that's how we got Gary Godso in the booth. It takes a lot to come together for that to happen. And so we appreciate that. But his day is today, and we'll get a chance to talk with him here in a minute. There's your race results on your screen. It's Jesper Orman from Sweden, Three Crowns Racing with IAR taking the victory here in Dover for round 7. And it's Jorge Varela in second, Andreas Eich in third. That's one of the best finishes we've gotten from Eich in all the coverage that we've been doing. And so he's that's great to see from the young man from Team Talent, getting his name up there on the leaderboard. Gabriela Mayer in fourth, having another good day. Pedro Gomez, new driver here on VirtualRacing.Network. Great to have him in the field. And Seb Alexander, Jim Wallen, and Aaron McQuarrie, Luis Geronimo, and Dave Stedman, your top 10. Stedman was in front for a lot of this race, but unfortunately not able to be exactly on the perfect strategy to get up there and get that top 3 positions. Tommy G from Team Racefirst with Sunset Arctic coming in 11th. He got caught up in a little bit of incidents. And Masato Shimizu, Jeff Murray, Thomas Christensen, Perry Hicks, Jose Granado, Matthew Turner, and Isern Kubels, Dylan Moskowitz, as I can flip the page there, Adriano Panero, Nacho LDR, Tim Tomes, AJ Musselman, Inigo Mardones, Dario Verona, Caracedo, and Timothy D. Watson. 26 cars we tried to fit here at Dover. Maybe we could have done with a bit smaller field size, but it was a lot of fun today, Gary.
The most that ever raced in real life here was 23, and that was when the last race that the Indy Racing League had here in '99. But back to the Silent Assassin, Dave Stedman there. A 10th place finish despite everything. I think anybody really that finished in that top 10 was able to survive that. Probably feels pretty good right now, all things considered. Outside the top 10, probably are looking at a couple of people that have a frustrated day and maybe are wanting to wait for that 6:15 race to make up the difference.
There's always another race to do during the week, but we're going to see if we can get in some of the drivers from today's race and be able to do our post-race interviews with them. And so we're going to take a look and see who's managed to wipe the sweat off of the brow and all that champagne off of their back. And right now, I am seeing our winner is ready and available for an interview. So we're going to bring him in. Hey, Jesper Orman, can you hear me there?
I can hear you, man. Hello.
Hey, well, it was an interesting day yesterday. You were racing the Prime Meridian Racing League race, and you had fun out at Spa-Francorchamps, but did not have a top 3 finish there yesterday. Total different track. Couldn't be more different. A short, high-banked oval here in Dover, and you managed to pull off alternate strategy by coming in, get that pit stop done and out of the way. You were in the right place at the right time. You hung on till the end. Congratulations. Excellent victory, and your first one here on VirtualRacing.Network for the Fixed Series. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks, man. I feel like your junior finally got one.
Yes, indeed. Finally got one. Well, it's so exciting. Tell us more about your day. I mean, it was a tough qualifying session. And you weren't starting right there on the pole. You started from 12th position, and then you got to the point on that first early caution. Take us through what was going through your mind at that point as we get to that first caution, and you decide, okay, I am going to break away from their strategy. I am going to come in and take tires.
Yeah, actually, I had already decided after the qualifying, because I gave my everything in qualifying, ended up P12, which was really disappointing. So I needed to go off strategy, and I knew that a full tank in fuel save was like 65 laps or something. So I came in to top up for fuel. I think it was lap 7 already. So that put me dead last, basically, in the field. I think also Jeff Murray also went up for the same strategy. Don't know what happened to him later. It's a bit of a wreckfest race anyway. But yeah, I was hoping for a few cautions so I could save fuel. And well, with like 30 to go, I was put up front in P1, and from there I just gave it everything, and I was good on fuel from that point basically. So I just pedal to the metal, whatever you say, and yeah, just trying to hold that bottom line because I knew Jorge was on a slightly fresher tires, and also we know that he's a good driver and he has some dangerous teammates that could help him, But yeah, just stick it on the bottom, and let's hope the lap traffic doesn't give me too much of a headache, basically.
Well, let's talk about that end of it too. So there was a lot of very aggressive driving there in the early part of this race, to the point where, of course, we did have 6 cautions in this race. It's more than the Monday night race, and quite a lot of cautions for such a short race, only 80 laps long. Very aggressive driving, some drivers choosing to go 3 wide, but once again, you started in 12th, you kept your nose clean. You had a chance to, I think, run over AJ Musselman a couple of times, and you chose to back out, kind of save it. You didn't force the issue, and here you are to live not only another day, but your car in the Three Crowns Racing, that beautiful Vopsy.com livery on there in victory lane at the end of it. So you didn't go that aggressive. You kind of kept your head cool and calm on your shoulders, and at the end of the day, you end up in the victory circle.
Yeah. So I mean, the reality is that okay, the Monday night off maybe has slightly better ping, is like probably all of the drivers there, with maybe some exceptions, are North American, so the ping would be like 100 maximum, I don't know. In this field, we had everything from me, I was at 41 ping, I think, to up to like 300 from the Brazilian guys. So if you go on the outside, I mean, there's so big risk of something happening. So yeah, I don't know. I didn't see any of the incidents. I'm just assuming that there were some issues with ping. Yeah. So
there were a couple of netcode related incidents, but I mean, certainly, I think the initial couple that affected the top half of the running order were through a little extra aggression. Certainly, we saw some 3 wide action. If they could have fit 4 wide, definitely looked like some drivers were trying to. And then on the other side of it, we also had the lap cars, because this is such a small track and so fast. I mean, talk about what that's like, trying to navigate these cars that are 30, 40 miles an hour off the pace, hanging out to the outside, the inside. You're trying to figure out what direction they're going to go.
Yeah, exactly. The last 20 laps there, when all the lap cars came. But I have to say, everybody drove fairly and went either to the outside or on the apron, so that was good. And I also get to say that there were a lot of people who congratulated me after the race, typing to me and everything. So that was really appreciated.
Well, definitely we appreciate everything that you do, bringing your A game every week. Hugo couldn't be here to race against you this week, but we'll look forward to continuing that.
Yeah,
who's the best?
That wouldn't have mattered. I would have won anyway.
Well, we'll see what Hugo has to say about that, but both of you are excellently talented drivers, and I do believe that today you had the measure. You were able to get out there in front, and you were able to hold it despite aged tires, everybody else getting much newer tires than you. You were able to stay out there and make it work. So congratulations on your strategy. And the only unfortunate part for you, though, is looking at that final running order. Your running mates, Thomas Christensen, had a fantastic qualifying up in 3rd place. And Matthew Turner, unfortunately, getting caught up in that incident with Thomas Christensen. So unfortunately, putting your other 2 teammates there at Three Crowns Racing a little bit back.
Yeah, I heard we were discussing it. I haven't seen the incident yet, but I get to see it. Well, but of course, Thomas, he's an excellent qualifying driver. I don't think I've been faster than him on any track this season so far. Might be wrong, but I think he's been faster every Thursday race, I think.
Well, that's something that you do. You seem to do a lot more racing actually in the officials than Thomas, or at least last couple of weeks he's been saying he's got business meetings to get to and this and that. So, but it's always great when he can drop in, get time, and I know from your standpoint as a teammate, to get that extra bit of help from a teammate, whether they're in front of you, behind you, you know you can count on them to do you some favors and try and help you get through that draft. One other interesting thing that Gary noticed while we were in that last stint, you were really managing the front, and it's not so easy to do at such a small track like this, but you were going down to the bottom line on corner entry and coming back out to try to bring Andreas Eick around on the outside. And that's part of what I'm talking about is regardless of who else might have been in the field, you executed brilliantly once you were at the lead. So was that something you were working on here? Was that just something you naturally flowed into, or were you trying to control the pack behind you?
I was trying to control the pack behind me. I know also Andreas is a great guy, so obviously want him to finish as far up as possible. And of course, if you get P2 and P3 fighting with each other, you'll get like a few laps where you can settle down a little bit in the lead and manage those tires. But yeah, absolutely. I was working that weight jacket like crazy.
Well, there you go from Jesper's mouth. You can hear it yourself. He's working feverishly, but not too hard. Managed to keep his cool, manage those tires, and manage the rest of the competition to an extreme win here. First time in Victory Circle, VirtualRacing.Network on broadcast Thursday. So great to have you here, Jesper, in the winner's circle. Hey, so do you want to give a shout out to anyone else, and then feel free to say whatever you'd like in Swedish.
Yeah, absolutely. Tacka mina lagkamrater såklart, och grattis till Andreas till en P3, och hoppas att nästa vecka så är vi fler som kör. Och självklart så uppmanar jag alla att gå in på Trevors Discord på Virtual Network och bli involverad och kanske till och med hjälpa Trevor och donera lite pengar till hans fantastiska streamer, vem vet. Så yes, tack till alla och vi ses nästa vecka.
I was looking for the closed captions at the bottom, but I couldn't find it. What did you say there?
I just said that's would thank my teammates, and I would recommend everybody to get involved in the Virtual Network Discord and get involved and help this project that you've started, so that we can continue with this project for the future, because it's really great, it's fun, it's absolutely great for the Eurosoft and for all the European IndyCar drivers.
Well, you bet, and well, we hope for your standpoint that you can continue to climb in the championship and find yourself there fighting for, at the very end of this one, for the championship. That was the whole reason why we all worked together, was to give specifically those who this time slot works for in the European time slot, but then of course some Americans on the East Coast, 4:15 p.m., that works for them as well. So it's a great kind of trade-off time zone, and it's come out of nowhere. So thank you for your support, Jesper, and everything that Three Crowns Racing has done. And just today, you coming through with a monetary donation. We appreciate that. We'll make sure we get everybody who has donated and been a part of this and helped us out. We'll make sure we get you thanked properly on the screen. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Trevor. Thanks, Gary.
No problem. Thanks for you.
So, yes, Jesper Orman there joining us fresh off the track. Got a win. It's looking good if you're Jesper headed forward. Of course, next week, Gary, we're headed someplace completely different. He came from Spa-Francorchamps yesterday, and so today he's out there at the high bank short track of Dover. But next week, where are we headed, Gary?
Well, we're going to combine the both, and we're going to do a little, NASCAR is kind of, I don't want to say the word that I want to say, but they've kind of changed the way that the word Roval is now defined. But we're going to the Roval at Charlotte next week. IndyCar actually has no history here in real life, other than an exhibition that Newgarden ran there a couple of seasons ago. There's been talk about IndyCar going there in real life. We shall see. I believe that's the only time we'll ever see IndyCar return to Charlotte. I don't think we'll ever see them return to the Oval. But it's going to be a whole different thing. There's a whole different art to oval racing than there is to road course racing. Oval racing, you got to be very smooth every single lap. Hit your marks every single lap. Road course racing, you can be a little bit more aggressive. You can muscle the car a little bit more, ride it a little bit harder, and then road course racing, it'll reward you with the faster lap time. Not so much in oval racing. Oval racing, if you muscle the car, it's going to penalize you on lap time. So we're going to probably see some different, maybe see some different front runners, but IndyCar has a history of nurturing both drivers that both do well both on the road courses and ovals. So we might also see the same normal cast of characters up the front, but it will be a fun race to watch. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not the best road course racer, so I'm hoping to learn an awful lot there from what the guys are going to be doing next week, and it should be fun. So next Thursday, 4:15, make sure you flip on VirtualRacing.net and come check us out, because I think you're in for something a little bit different next week.
That will be a blast to see a bunch of oval racers trying to do their best on a road course, let alone this crazy little infield road course called the Charlotte Roval. We'll see how everybody managed to make it work. Should be a lot of fun next week, Gary. So stay tuned, as you mentioned, and of course we will also have a U.S. IndyCar League on Sunday. We do that each and every Sunday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, right here at VirtualRacing.Network, and as always on Wednesdays, Prime Meridian Racing League. You can catch it right here, VirtualRacing.Network. So make sure to subscribe and like this video, and you will get lots more IndyCar action headed your way in the near future. And once again, thank you so much for watching, for subscribing, for liking. You're helping us to grow with VirtualRacing.Network and bring you more coverage. And so until next week at the Charlotte Roval, this has been another great broadcast from VirtualRacing.Network live of the iRacing NTT IndyCar Series FIXED. Until next week, I'm Trevor Greenfield, and on behalf of Gary Godso and all the competitors here, have a great rest of your week. We'll see you then. Bye-bye, everybody.